Hi there, and welcome to Starflight 2016's DAZ 3D and ZBrush tutorials. Today we are going to check out edge loops. Edge loops are another way to basically make clothing for DAZ Studio characters, or at least additions to clothing. And it's different than doing an extraction. So we're going to go ahead and get into that, and I'm going to show you how that's done. First of all, you're going to want to pick a character from DAZ Studio 3D. I typically use the Genesis 3 characters. I find them a little bit easier to use, although any of them will work from Genesis 1, 2, and 3, and other characters as well. So first of all, you need to select the character and put her in your scene in DAZ Studio, and this is Genesis 3 female. You go ahead and click on her, and then you go ahead and click on this little button over here. This is File, and if you have ZBrush running already, it'll just drop it in there. If not, if you click this, it will start ZBrush and put your character in. So we'll go ahead and click that, and it'll say, do you want to export current resolution and export with deformations, and you say yes or accept in this case. And then we can go ahead and get right into ZBrush. ZBrush, this is your default look of ZBrush, and we'll go ahead and we're going to go close the light box since we're not going to be using that at the moment. So at this point, you go ahead and left click anywhere in this screen and you drag down, and then we'll bring your character in. And of course now you want to edit that character, so press T on the keyboard and that'll turn it into edit mode. And then go ahead and press F, and that will drop her in the frame so you can see her. If she's kind of crooked, kind of like that, just go ahead and push Shift and use your right mouse button, and you can go ahead and click. And if you turn her and click again, you can straighten her up. And to move them around, I think I explained this in my last video, but you can just right click and just move things around. No keys needed on the keyboard for that. And to straighten her up, you push Shift and your right mouse button, and that'll move it around. And if you need to pan it around from side to side, up and down, push the Control key, and then you can just right mouse button and move her around like that. Okay, so we're going to push F and frame her up again. Okay, so basically I do a couple of things. First thing we do is we turn off the back-facing polygons since we never really see them anyways. So to do that, press Control and go up here to where it says Brush. And if you left click on that, you'll go down to one that says Auto Masking. So we click that, and there in the middle it'll say Back Face Mask. We go ahead and turn that off. So like I said, it will not draw on or color in or mask off any of those back-facing polygons. So now that we're ready, we'll go ahead and press Control, and it turns your yellow circle into the mask tool, and we can mask those off. To change the mask tool size, just right-click anywhere off of here, and right at the top it says Draw Size. You can left-click and just drag that down to whatever size you need. So in this case, to zoom in, you can press the Control and the Alt on your keyboard, and the left-hand keyboard. Use your right mouse button, and you can drag left or right, and that'll bring her in. So let's go ahead and mask off something real simple. Let's say a basic pair of shorts. So let's go ahead and just mask that all off. Let's go here. Also, you can press the X key. That will turn on your way of duplicating both sides, symmetry in this case. And now we can do both sides, and it'll be exactly the same on each side. Let's go ahead and get that straightened out. Let's see what we got here. And to unmask, of course, Control and Alt and the left mouse button will unmask anything that you don't need. You may have to resize your tool based on how far you've zoomed in and how close you want to actually go ahead and mask off. And here we go. Okay, so go ahead and do that. And it doesn't have to be perfect right away because we're going to have to like straighten it out afterwards. So let's just go ahead and mask off what we can. And I often change my tool size pretty often. Everybody has their own way of doing things. I just happen to do this pretty quick. So these are going to be like biker shorts, you know, those people who like ride bicycles and stuff. So they're going to be pretty tight fitting at this point. I'm not going to go into a full detail on how to make a proper pair of shorts right now. Everybody has their own way of doing things, and that'll come in a later tutorial. So we'll go ahead and fill all these in. And let's see, well, we're pretty close. Resize that and zoom in a little bit so I can get a little bit better detail there. Okay. Just about got it where I want it, at least from there. And we'll move in and we'll mask this off so it's nice and straight. And you might have to make some adjustments, of course. As I said, you'll probably go out the lines and you'll have to straighten these up. We'll check for all the line straightness here in a moment. We use both the extraction tool and the edge loop tool in this tutorial, just so we can get an idea of how straight things really are. Okay, so it looks like a basic set of biker lycra shorts. We'll go ahead and go to subtool, and we'll go down to the extraction tool, which we saw in my first video. And if you hadn't seen that, you might want to go back and check that. And it gives you some basics on how to use the extract tool. So now that we're here, we're going to change the size, thickness. In this case, I use 0.002 or 0.003, just because it seems to work out pretty well for most things. At least gives me an idea of how thick I want them so I can see it. 0.003, and we press enter. And again, these are pretty tight shorts, so we're not going to see both sides of the shorts at this point, so you don't need to have double-sided on. Some people have thin borders on, some don't. Again, personal preference. It's clothing, so I kind of like the borders kind of thin. So we go ahead and extract, and we can see that we need to clean this up a little bit because none of the edges are straight. So let's go ahead and zoom in, and I can see already where I need to mask off a little bit, where I can see that it's not straight. And if we keep pressing the extract tool, and then if you press back in the window, the extraction goes away. So as long as you don't press the accept button, you can keep doing this until you get things where you want them to be. So let's go ahead and see if we can't get those straightened out just a little bit. Okay, we're making progress. The key thing is here to have like all your lines straight so that when you go to use the edge loop tool, it'll look proper. Okay, so let's go here, and we're almost done with the bottom piece of that. Okay, looks like the bottom half of that is pretty good. And then we'll zoom out here. We can press F to frame her back up, and we'll straighten her up. Then we'll zoom back in, and we'll take another look and see what needs to be straightened out. Looks like we have a dip here and a raised edge. So we'll go ahead and kind of just clean that up a little bit here. It might take a little effort to get that where you want it, but it won't take too much. Most people can make something pretty quickly in ZBrush. Only takes anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes once you get the hang of things. Now, granted, I'm using a mouse to do this. Some people use a tablet stylus to do this, and I have used those in the past, but today I'm using a mouse because that's what most people have. Okay, so it looks like it's mostly straight at this point. So we'll go ahead and we're not going to actually extract. I just use the extract to get a general idea that everything is fairly straight, and it's not too bad for what we're doing today. Okay, and we can always adjust this afterwards. Okay, so now that we have that done, we're going to zip down to where it says polygroups. And in polygroups, you're going to see something in here that says group masked. And what that does is we have our area for the shorts already masked off. So we're going to go ahead and use that. So I usually slide this all the way over to polished. That basically gives it a very smooth way of looking at the finished product once it's done. Keep in mind, anything that's going to be under these shorts is going to be deformed a bit after we do this. That can't be helped. So if you're just making the shorts and don't care about the under character at all, that works out. If it's another piece of clothing, that's a whole different ball game, and I'll have to show you how to do that when it's two pieces of clothing. We'll do that again in another tutorial in the future. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and group to masked, and it will basically change the color of the masked area and the unmasked area. It'll basically swap them. And now that we have that masked, we're going to press Control and Shift, and it gives you this little loop square white circle. We're going to left click on that, and it will select the shorts that we created and separate them by themselves. And now that that piece is done, we're actually going to go back up, and we're going to go to Geometry. And under Geometry, you're going to find something that says Edge Loop. And if you click on Edge Loop, there's a bunch of settings in here. We only need a couple of them at this point. So since we're using the main character to create the shorts, we're going to go to where it says Append. And basically that means that the character underneath will not have a hole in it. And you don't want that to happen. So we just go ahead and press Append. And if you want to see both sides of the shorts, you can do that by scrolling down to where it says Display Properties. And under here you got a thing that says Double. If you click that, then you see the inside and the outside of the shorts. That's all that does. Makes it so you can see the back-facing polygons that you normally couldn't see. Okay, so now that that's on, we'll go back to Geometry, and we'll go back to Panel Loops. And you're going to want to adjust the thickness. If we don't adjust the thickness, it's going to be really, really thick, and it's going to look horrible. So you can use this slider to move it down, up, or what have you. It's just going to be a pair of biker shorts at this point. So we're not going to want that to be very thick. So let's say something like 0.00087, and we'll give that a shot and see what it looks like. And we really can't see it much. Of course, I'll have to adjust it. It does exist, it is there. And if we come up to slide up here to where it says Subtool, we actually have to separate those two pieces now. And we'll come down here to where it says Split. And under split, it'll say split unmasked points. And if we click that, it will split those, and those pair of shorts will be by themselves. As we can see here, they are. And so they're ready to be fitted to that main character. And to do that, what we'll do is we'll bring that main character in, and we'll go ahead and select this. And now this is where we have to adjust or move uh, those pieces so that they'll fit. So we need to use a different brush to do that. So we push B for brush. And in this case, we're going to move it. So it's going to be B, M for move, and T for topology, so that we can move that mesh around to make it fit the character properly. So we'll just go ahead and we'll scroll our tool up here a bit bigger, and we'll just move that out of it so it will fit the character where it should. This won't take long. This only takes a minute or two to actually adjust. Go in small increments. Don't go in big ones, because you might end up with bulges in your outfit that you don't want, and then you'd be like, well, what the heck happened there? So just go slow, take your time. It will turn out okay when you're done. Let's go here. I just kind of work my way around, and it will eventually all fit out where it goes. You can see these little indents where the clothing actually, pulled apart from the main character, and you can kind of use that as a guide as where the edges are. And we'll go ahead, we'll move those out. And if you need to make the tool a little bit bigger to do what you need to do, you can. That will just move a bigger area. And we're almost done here. It doesn't take that long, a couple of minutes, a little bit of effort. This is not always the case. Sometimes, if you use a thicker piece of clothing or what have you, if you make it thicker, there's a little less moving to do. But with something thin, this is kind of what happens. And let's go ahead and move her down a little bit. Okay, and in between her legs here, we're going to have to make it to a little bit smaller, because it's messing up the ability to use symmetry, and the tool brush is just running into each other, so we had to make it a little bit smaller. And we're almost done. Okay, that kind of looks okay. This is all kind of trial and error, as you know. So once we get this all together, we'll go ahead and we'll send it to Data Studio just to see what needs to be adjusted and where. Sometimes it just works out this way and it seems to fit out okay. Okay, so it seems that we've got our shorts kind of where we want them. I mean, you can add all kinds of detail to this after the fact, but right now we're just doing edge loops to show you how it's done. Now we'll go ahead and push Go Z, and it looks like our shorts kind of got in there where they belong, and you can see we got a little poke through there, so we'll have to fix that. You can see that right there in the back side there. So we'll go ahead and a little bit here up there in the corner. So we'll go ahead and we'll delete that by pressing Scene, and you can come in here and select the one that says something with a number behind it. In this case, Genesis 3 female 47. You just delete that, and then we come back into ZBrush, and we go back to the back side here and turn her off to the side so we know where we got to fix that. So we can move that out a little bit, and her backside just a little bit, and that should do the trick. So again, select your shorts and come up here to where it says go Z, and again it sends it back, and now it looks like the shorts are fitting the way they're supposed to. And so now we can try to fit these shorts to the character. So we select the Genesis 3 female number 47, and we'll come up here in this little area here and go down to where it says Assets and Transfer Utility. You click on that, and a little transfer utility thing is going to open up, and you're going to want to select the main character as the source, and you're going to select the Genesis female 47 as the target. And again, there's a lot of options in here that can be done, you know, for pants, dresses, and so on. And under there, you also have a bunch of options as well. We'll go ahead and use those at some point down the road when we're using a little bit more loose clothing that will require those. So at this point, we're just going to use those. We're just going to use the defaults here, and we're just going to not use any options. So we'll go close those, and we're just going to press accept. And with any luck, this is going to fit properly, and it looks like it did. She didn't move or twitch or do anything strange, and neither did the clothing. So now if I move the leg, we now have clothing that does basically move as it should. Otherwise, it seems to have worked out okay. And at this point, this tutorial is done on edge loops. You can go ahead and check those settings once again and how to use them by going through the tutorial again. I will do a bit more detailed on edge loops later on. And if you have questions, leave some feedback and I will try to answer your questions. Thank you for watching. This is Starflight 2016. You all have a great day and enjoy playing with your ZBrush.